Well, here we go. We're rounding it out now. We're down to the kindy bees in the back shed here. These girls are actually doing pretty good the last couple of times I've checked them out. I've split them in half, so I've got 2 kindy bees now. Hopefully you remember why I called them the kindy bees, because we caught them outside of a kindergarten. In a tree. Well, not in a tree, in a bush on the ground, pretty much they were. So I figured they'd have to be pretty hardy, because they survived out there for a jolly year or so or more. Anyway, we've managed to pick all the twigs out, and we've cut them in half. Well, split them in half, and so we've made 2 out of 1. And I thought it was about time to see whether they had how much flow of honey they'd had. Bring a super out for the second one that we've split off, and we'll have a bit of a peekaboo, and you get to come along. Right, let's have a look what our girls are up to. So they've been in here. We've had these kindy bees for a little while, so we'll just have a bit of a peekaboo, have a look at how special they are. Give them a little bit of a puff just to chill them out a bit. These ladies aren't too hectic, but they're not the most relaxed, but they're not really crazy. Oh, I reckon these might need a super. Just as well I brought one of them along. Let's have a little bit of a look here, you lovely little chicks. You've been busy, ladies. They're nice golden colour anyway. So they're both the same, these girls now. These are both kindy bees. They're a little bit in the making bridge comb and stuff is a little bit annoying, but I think that comes from the fact that they used to live in a bush. So they're not quite as cooperative as I'd like, but they seem to produce all right. So if we can get the jolly thing out and show you. There's a bit of drone cone in there. They're trying to make some boys. See all that drone cone? They're all just sticking up. Rightio, sit that there for a minute. There's a fair bit of honey on the outside edge. You've got to be happy with that for a lovely pattern, don't you? Good girl. And she's not too angry. Like, they're not all over you like a rash. I'll shake them off. See, look at that for us. Look at that. I reckon for some girls from the bush, they're pretty good. And they're literally from the bush. They're not running everywhere on the frame, which is what you want. It's a little hard to see, of course, in the shed. It's not ideal. It's probably why you don't beekeep in a shed, but still. I think if you're in Scandinavia, they do basically a shed or a cupboard, but mind you, they probably have a little bit more hectic winters than we do. I think that might still be some of the original cutout we put in here. So we might actually pop that upstairs in a minute while we do this, put the super on here. Maybe that's why. Come on, you can do it without making too much mess. I reckon that's what we're going to do, young John. I think these are still the cutouts frames, because this is the original box, I reckon. So what we're going to do is we're going to shake them off of there. We're going to put a super on top of all this, and we'll give them some nice new frames down the bottom here. Well, that's a little bit hectic. That's not their fault. It was because this was an original from back in the day when we were trying to save them. Just wait there for a minute. I'm just going to go and get the top box, or the super box as it would be called professionally. Right, I'll just sit this in here. Golly. Is that outside one weird as well? I'll just have a look at that while I'm at it. They're not happy about this, but they'll be all right. They'll be happy in a minute. Oh my Lord, have a look at that. Good girl. Wow. Gee willikers, John. Right, we're going to change out these 4, I reckon. Put them up the top, give them some new stuff to work with. Then they can have a bit more of a pretty home. Oh, this is a little bit messy. But that's, like I said, it's not actually their fault. And I reckon I've got this one here that's a bit dodgy. Now, just as a footnote, I actually want to keep this frame down here because it's nice and neat. It's a proper frame that hasn't got all the other cutout bits and pieces. But if you're going to do this, you want to put the frame back where the other brood is. I know most of the times I'll tell you, if you're going to put your frames back, put them back where they were. But don't leave a nice frame of brood way over here by itself and then 3 or 4 frames of other stuff in the middle. It's not so hectic this time of year, but quite often what'll happen is the nurse bees won't be there often enough, and then you lose some of the brood. Or if it's winter time, you'll lose the whole bloody lot because they can't get across there. Because they got to all sit together, and they're basically wriggling their little wings and making the warm spot. And so all the nurse bees, and when they come back at night, they all sit together on that frame and they just keep everything nice and warm and at the right temperature so their babies will hatch. So don't leave it over by itself, okay? Basic rules. I'm just going to shake these, make sure there's nobody on here that we want. And that can go upstairs, mainly because that's got drone cone in there, and that might as well go up out the way. And that'll give us a bit of room to play with. So what I'm doing here is, because these frames were actually from our original cutout, when you do a cutout, you've actually laid your honeycomb on the front of the wires, so they're not actually inside the hive frame properly. When you put in a new frame, they'll build it out so the wires are in the middle. Whereas when you do a cutout, you've actually got the wires sort of on one side. Then of course going forward, they try to fill in this little hole because they don't want to waste it, and you get bridge comb going the wrong way, which is what's happening with this frame here. So then they start making bridge comb like that, which is most annoying when you're trying to work your hive, because next thing you know, you pull your honey frame up and all the honey runs everywhere and makes a hell of a mess. Whereas if it's nice and neat, you don't get all the mess going on. So you want to try and keep everything sensible. If you're running a hive, every year you should probably change 2 frames out of your brood box anyway. So you've got about a 5-year rotation. And then I'm just going to put it above the queen excluders, so as that the nurse bees will still run up there and hatch out those little bit of brood that's up there. And then eventually they'll fill that all full of honey. I'll take it to the extraction plant and it'll go there and make a bit of a mess, but it won't matter. And then we can come back, clean the frame up, and then we're back into service. Then you've got nice workable frames that you can actually operate and pull things out and not make such a mess when you're doing your inspections. That's the point of the exercise here at the minute. So now we just want to put some fresh frames in here. I got some frames that have already been built out, which is fine as well. And then the ladies will get organised and they'll build some nice fresh brood frames, and it'll all be lovely and neat, and it'll all come together like a well-oiled machine. But oh well, hopefully anyway, that's my plan. And I need one more in there and then we'll be all good. And then we'll pop the super on the top and the queen excluder in the middle. Ah. There we go, ladies, and we'll just smoke these girls off the edge so we don't crush too many people. Put our queen excluder back, which is a little bit messy, but it's all right. Then we're going to pop our super on. And they're all singing a new song in there going, "What's happening? We've been invaded." So we've had a bit of inquiry about these poly hives and what I think of them. Personally, I reckon they're pretty insulated and they work quite well. I don't know whether they give you any more honey in my experience, which is what one of the things they say they do. They give you an extra third of honey than everything else. I find them a little bit hard to tie down on the truck, or if you're integrating them with other wooden boxes, it's a bit crazy. So if you're going to go for them, you really have to go all that way, because they don't interchange very well with the bloody wooden stuff. I'm thinking just because of economic constraints and the situation I've found myself in with enough wooden stuff, I'm just using that up for a start. I reckon I'm going to implement these in my queen breeding setup, just because they are more insulated and they do probably protect the bees a little bit more when they're young. I'm probably not going to use any more of them, but if you've just got a couple of hives in your backyard and you're not planning on moving around too much, they're probably bloody awesome. But having said that, there's plenty of other commercial beekeepers that do use them on a commercial scale and are happy with them and all the rest of it, so it just depends. So everybody to their own in the end of this bee. That's the good thing about being self-employed and being your own beekeeper. You just do your own thing, make up your own mind. What works for you, I don't know. What works for me might not work for you, but one thing's for sure, as long as the bees are happy, you're happy, and the honey's flowing, who gives a shit? I don't think I've actually got a queen excluder in this one, so depending on whether there's enough larvae up the top here, we might make another split just out of this exercise, since we're here having a bit of fun, but we might not. We'll find out in a minute. If I was professional, I would have set this up and I'd know. But see, so as you're travelling along on this show with us, you can realise we don't set any of this crap up. It's just what's happening on the day. If you're comparing us to some of the other beekeeping shows that are, I swear they've gone there and set it all up to make it perfect for you, you're getting it warts and all with us guys. It's an interesting thing becoming a beekeeper, really, isn't it? You start off with a couple of boxes, you end up with 20 boxes, and then you think, shit, I can't feed 20 boxes into one spot, so then you've got to get 100 boxes to justify moving them somewhere. And next thing you know, you've got 200 boxes, and then you're running a YouTube show to show everybody that, what the hell, I don't know, you just start from somewhere and end up somewhere else. And you get to come along and have a bit of a journey with us. At least we're inspiring your curiosity about beekeeping anyway, if nothing else. For all you YouTubers that have been on this journey from the beginning, way back when, I don't know, what's that, 3 years ago or something, when we were putting bees in a rubbish bin, that was kind of insanity, but still, we've come a long way, but we've still got a long way to go. But you know what? Every day is an experience, and you get to come along at most of them. We'll just have a peekaboo in here and see what these girls are doing. If they've got some stuff up the top, we might split them off. And they have got some larvae up here, so that's good. And nectar. There's no actual queen excluder in here. So what we're going to do, since we're here, just going to go through here and just see whether anybody's important up the top here, which I don't think there is. I think she started to move downstairs, which is good. So what we might be doing, I think, since there's nothing there, and since she's breeding up nicely, is we'll take this super off. Oh no, hang on. We might be getting excited yet. No, that's only just honey, so no good doing a split if you haven't got any young larvae. That would definitely not do. All you do is create a whole lot of carnage then. That's defeating the purpose, that would be. Right. Give that. Oh. Just go in the sun so I can see what I'm doing. No, I think they've actually hatched a queen. Just thinking, I thought, oh, she might be raising a queen here anyway, but I think she's already hatched. Well, they're finding a fair bit of nectar here, which is good. So they're being productive, I reckon. So they must have requeened themselves somewhere along the road here. I don't remember a swarm popping out of here, and it shouldn't have anyway, because we did a split here, so it'd be pretty well behaved, surely. Righty-o, Mr. deCaux. Hey.
There's another queen cell there.
Oh yeah, I have two. And she's halfway out. This is the cruelry thing that goes on in your beehive. This poor queen was obviously a day late because her sister got her before she got out. You can see she was just about to get out, and the other queen would have given her a sting, and that would be the end of that. It's a dog eat dog or bee eat bee world out here. Pop that back in there. I'm just trying to decide whether we should shake them underneath there. Doesn't really matter too much for what we're doing. We might actually leave them alone, because it kind of works good when you're trying to actually expand. If you have your, like once you want to do a split, they can you just take the top one off and turn it around and away you go. We'll just have a bit of a peekaboo down in the brood box to make sure everybody's happy. And oh, help, you girls are heavy. What have you been doing? You've been busy. Oh, making me work. Oh, righty-o, let's have a look what's going on down here, shall we? Hopefully everybody's happy. Hey. Otherwise that's a crapper. A little bit of drone comb going on there too. I think they're getting upset. They're not happy to see us. Just having a look to see if we can find the queen. Not that it's completely crucial, but if we happen to make sure she's down here, we might put the queen excluder on. But if not, because she could be anywhere, she could have run off and hidden from us, which is very likely that she's gone off and hidden from us because she doesn't want to get seen at the best of times. I reckon they did supersede her because they haven't got a lot of young stuff here yet. So they're just starting to come back. There's a good 6 weeks or so when they make a new queen before she can start laying again. By the time they rear her, and then she goes out and mates, and then she comes back and lays babies. Oh my goodness me, I tell you what. Of course, in our life, 6 weeks doesn't seem like a long time, but in a bee's life, 6 weeks is probably near on half of their lifespan, especially in summertime. So it's probably pretty important to them, that little period. Can we see anybody in here? Oh, that's a bit better. I can't actually see too much larvae happening, so hopefully she's in here somewhere. I think this might have been one of the original frames that were in the bush as well, because look, there's still a stick in it. I think we'll get rid of this one upstairs as well. We don't really want that dagginess down in the brood box. The reason that frame's in this box is because this box is done a split in half, so this is the original box, and now this is the actual new breeding box. So now we've got 2 kindy bees rather than just 1 kindy bee. But I'm just making sure that this they were doing fine, but it looks like they've superseded, and I'm just making sure that they've still got a queen in here, because that's not helpful if they haven't. I've obviously put these frames to the side, and we're going to get rid of both of these frames, because that's a bit daggy ass. We've just got a little bit of excitement on the wall here that we're going to get rid of. Just try to make things a bit tidy. Since we've got a bit of an opportunity here, we might as well put some newer stuff down there. Well, that's all full of nectar, so that's probably not ideal, but that'll be alright. We'll put that one on the outside. And they can use that up. What do we want? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we need 3. 3 of them, John. Golly gosh. I might just take this out in the sunlight and just see if it's got anybody home laid in there. I think that's all capped. I don't think there's any young stuff there. We better come back and have another look at this in a week's time to make sure she's laying something. Otherwise we could be in trouble, and that would really suck. We don't want to lose this bloodline, so we've got to make sure there's somebody in here laying. Otherwise it's a bit pointless of doing a split if you lose them, isn't it? And we can put these ones in here so they can tidy that mess up. Ooh. Since I have to come back anyway, I'm going to go and get a queen excluder and put her down there. And hopefully our young virgin queen has made it back from her mating flight and she's all in here happily going along. I can't see much evidence of her today, so we're going to definitely have to come back, put that in my diary if I had one, that we're going to come back in a week's time and have another look. But you're not going to be able to come along because you're not going to be here. So you'll just have to take my word for it out there in YouTube land. I'm thinking we should probably shake all these bees out of this super if we're going to put the queen excluder on, just in case. I don't think she's up here, but you know, we might as well be safe. Because who knows? Whatever you assume in beekeeping is normally different. It's normally, whatever you assume is happening, something else is going on. We'll just give them a little bit of this so they all want to be inside their little house, looking after their babies, saying, hello, everybody's good in here. That's the other thing with these paradise hives. You have to have exactly the right bits and pieces for all of it. Like even the queen excluders are particular. So that's a bit of an issue in itself, but still. Right, put that on here. And we'll put this one over the other side because that's nice and tidy. Some of these. Right, very good, folks. Now we'll pop that up there. Actually, we might get that out of there and pop that on the roof because that doesn't need to be in there. Well, I think that's another successful inspection. We've definitely got a beautiful, healthy queen in here. We've got a young version queen in here, hopefully laying nicely soon. So we're going to come back in a week's time and check her out. These girls are going awesome. All else fails, I'll take a frame from there and put in here, and then they can raise another queen. There you are. Kindy bees on the move. There we go.